If this were really happening, what would you think?
Perhaps you wouldn't be that surprised. Increasingly, it seems the bone around our brains is not the skull, but the pelvis. Just look at any of today's papers. Very sexy Beams Clark after urinating on London from a helicopter. Cook dragged from Serpentine with swan stuffed in anus. Bono offers sex to anyone from the former Yugoslavia. That's the U2 lead singer Bono Vox. And even the local press, the Portsmouth Herald, again, no arrest for man dressed as glands. We are permissive, yet confused. It's quite acceptable for Peter Sissons to receive oral sex during disaster reports on the 9 o'clock news. And yet on the Isle of Man, nudity is still considered so shocking, it's illegal for babies to be born naked. Is a baby born today a baby born into a world in sex crisis? Sex is a sumptuous glam babe in a hall of donkeys or a sordid little incubus that looks like your granny. It's a strong feelings kidney, whichever way you slice it. Now, where's Sophie Valve? There she is. Sophie's got a dreadful story. She lost both her parents. They were killed on a picnic. Can you tell us what happened?
A frozen dog fell from a plane and killed them while they were making sex.
Were they dead when you saw them?
Alive.
Oh, come off it. You twit. They'd be dead, completely smashed up, like tongues under a hammer. Do you think this will give you psychosexual problems in later life? Must have messed up your brain. And I'm afraid we will have to see that little girl being upset in a rather more sustained way later on in tonight's deeply disturbing broadgram. Let me put it this way. It's not likely to happen, but just say I attacked you now, right? Would you beat me off?
Yes, but no more than that.
God, well, how long would you beat me off for?
As long as it took.
Really, all the way?
Yeah, as long as it took.
And would you beat me off even if people were looking?
Well, I would hope that they'd join in and help me.
Right, so would I.
That's what I would want to say.
What if somebody else came in through the door and started attacking you as well? Would you beat us both off?
I'd have been hard to work, but I'd have a go.
And if you get to the point where a whole room full of men is attacking you, you would try and beat them all off and
I'd have to
all
somehow.
help.
And in that case,
because you would. I mean, yeah.
I'm not quite sure how. I think I'd be more likely
all
to run
hands
like
to the
hell.
pumps. But if you're in a corner, you would beat them off.
I'd have to, of course.
Yeah, OK. And who'd pay for the dry cleaning afterwards?
Oh, paying's the least of it.
Why? Hey, who says AIDS guys are too puny to do tough stuff? This guy's got AIDS, and he's about to beat me in an arm wrestling. Oh, well done. Oh, gosh. Well done, yeah. Yeah. Now, a friend was unlucky enough to catch his virus from a blood transfusion, something he had no control over.
I caught it from my boyfriend.
Your boyfriend?
From my partner, yeah.
So you've got bad AIDS, not good AIDS? You got bad... Well, you caught it through your own fault. It's a drug abuse or a homosexual...
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Well, good AIDS is something innocent. This is what this ribbon's about. I support somebody who's caught good AIDS because they caught the virus through no fault of their own. Exactly. So what have you done with the big gay plague? What have you done to stop people catching it?
Well, personally, I've used condoms.
No, I mean here and now, like everyone else in this audience, I'm thinking, what about us? What about me now? What have you done to stop us catching it? What if a madman broke in here with a machine gun and shot you to pieces? Anyone here yawning would get your blood in their mouth. Yes.
Ridiculous.
You shouldn't have come in. You've got bad AIDS. You shouldn't have come in. Right? Can we have him removed during the next break? Now, you may remember another scandal involving a gay man last March. Captain Mervyn Bruges of the HMS Watford was all over the public press. Libby Schuss went behind the story. Get away from me! Get away from me!
The boat, the captain, and the He's a Puff headlines. The scandal followed video evidence of Captain Mervyn Bruges indulging in an odd practice with a gun.
First thing I think is he's going to shoot the gull I've been looking at. Started with, so he takes a gun, sticks in his gob. That's sucking it, you know. You know, like when nurse like puts the baby's winky in her mouth to make it go quiet, like that.
Naval denial was swift.
Captain Bruges was on deck. He noticed his gun was dirty and he cleaned it.
For a while, that was it. Nothing was doing.
Until we rooted out startlingly new evidence from this man, Ben Fetch. For a year, he served under Captain Bruges.
A lot of the onboard drill were done in the nude, or sometimes just with jock straps. And he used to play loud music while we were doing it. Yeah, he made me shoot fire drill on his camera. No, I was quite chuffed being a cameraman and all that. And strange thing, but you kind of got used to it after a while. I used to go to his office, to report to his office, and in the nude just kind of stand there like, and he'd be at his desk writing notes and whatnot, and he'd be humming little tunes to himself, and it's a bit weird.
Dress the penis!
The worst thing was first aid drill. We used to have to dress wounds, but it was always dressing penises, penis wounds.
The MOD. What will they say now? I'm going inside like a ferret with a tape.
What did Sir Hugh Mahargs make about devastating new shots?
It is absolutely important for every man on board to be able to dress a penis wound. 93% of wounds sustained in naval battle are, in fact, to the penis.
I want you to take a look at this.
What is the point of that pelvic marching?
Two men marching like that present a much smaller target than two men marching like that.
Bruges often insisted that on man overboard drill, he was the one thrown overboard, naked.
One cannot be ashamed of what one's pulling out of the water. And if it is a nude man thrashing around, gasping for his life, one must not shrink from that task because one is abashed about his nudity.
But 2 months ago, Ben Fetch was fired when, on the first day of his transfer to HMS Gooch, he reported for lifeboat duty stark naked.
Force of habit, I suppose, isn't it? So that was me done. Court-martial in the slammer, you know.
On Watford, nakedness was applicable. But on Gooch, everyone was dressed, apart from Fetch, who was stark naked and seemed to be indulging in some fit of sort of anarchic clotheslessness, which cannot be tolerated.
Fetch is now unemployed, a victim of the gay boat and of Captain Bruges, who testified against him.
He was the one who said I'd spent all my time taking my clothes off and whatnot, and he gave evidence against me, and he was the one who told me to do it in the first place.
No explanation was given by the Navy or the MOD, but 4 days ago, Bruges was on shore leave, and I went on a nab.
Captain Bruges! Why are you being gay with your men?
What?
We saw you gobbling a gun like a man's cock. Ah! Get him!
You made a point that you say Ben Fetch was dangerously gay.
Yes, he's totally gay. Fetch is as gay as a window.
What's wrong with being gay?
Homosexuals can't swim. They attract enemy radar. They attract sharks. They insist on being placed at the captain's table. They get up late. They nudge people whilst they're shooting. They muck about. Imagine the fear of knowing you have a gay man on board a boat. When you retire at night, you think to yourself, God, will I wake up and find everybody dead?
Quite.
You can't run a ship like that.
No. So there is a good reason after all. Could have saved us all a lot of fuss if they'd told us that in the first place. Still, wouldn't have made such a good story. And maybe that's the point.
Next on the Felch Spoon, sex and fantasy.
The doorbell rings and I go to answer it, and Alan is wearing police uniform, and he says, could you come in? He shows me his ID, checks who I am, and says that he has some very bad news for me. So I ask him into the hallway, and he says that my daughter, our daughter, has died in a car crash. And I become very upset, and we have sex.
And a Zeitgeist special with Peter Stringfellow.
Peter Stringfellow is his name, but is it only a name? Peter Stringfellow, is it only a name?
No.
But you do have a name.
Yes, I do have a name, and people
you never deny
associate
that, would
it. No, not at all.
Let's talk about your club. What's it called?
Stringfellows.
OK, but essentially, we're talking about your club. It's called...
Stringfellows.
Welcome back and shut up. New media plans for Sunday Sports' David Sullivan.
You've got a cable TV channel, haven't you?
No, I've got a licence for Little Adult Channel, which is tiny.
What, a channel for little adults?
Yes.
And Ted Moll reviews sex in the media.
This is Belgium's most popular show. It features a man on a penis trike crashing round a playpen. And in this country next year, a nightly 4-hour show will feature a man looking at pictures of women and saying which ones he'd hump.
No. Yes. No. Yes.
Welcome back. Now, sex and children. Stop right there, you might think, but don't say it. Because to hear the word stop is, for many, the biggest turn-on of all. Now, we have Judy Luton in the audience here. Judy, there you are. Righto, Judy. Now, just tell us what happened to you.
When I was 9,
Yeah.
I was abused by my uncle.
Sexually abused. Do you remember what he was like, your uncle? Was he a handsome man? Just look at me. Just look at me. Take it easy, OK? Just look at me. Right. Now, was he as handsome as me? Just for example.
No way.
Not quite. Stay looking at me. Just do that again. God. 12. Do you, if you fall over in the snow, do you make a couple of bumps? Probably do, don't you? Some adult channel. It is as easy. It's as easy as that, as that, for something to go wrong in a family. We had someone else here with a similar kind of problem. Who was it? Yeah, what happened to you?
My father abused me repeatedly between the ages of 4 and 16.
But it hasn't happened a lot recently?
No.
Good. Now, from abuse to self-abuse, something which has been disrupting the senatorial elections in the United States. Austin Tasseltine reports.
This was the moment 3 days ago when Senator Dale Lee Agsby plunged his campaign into crisis with an unprecedented outburst on live television.
No pride. Pride.
No one quite believed what they'd seen.
He's talking in the middle of the rally, he just gets out his dick, man.
To extract his genitalia at a rally and manipulate them to issue.
Several cords of reproductive mucus were expelled rhythmically into the crowd.
And a great big gob of this stuff went out in the audience somewhere.
It does indeed look like an impulsive act of public self-abuse. Senator Agsby seems to unsheath a length of skin-clad tube. His anatomy is broken cloth there, and he staggers around, vigorously ransacking his dignity, until finally he releases several arcs of liquid silk from the fleshy nozzle of his fork. But for 2 days, the besieged Agsby camp would only say the senator was unwell.
952 KZoo.
For the mischief makers, it's been a gift on a plate.
What's he gonna do? Walk in Dongress? Dongress. Okay. I came first in the slimery.
Can't believe you did that. And for the entrepreneurs, a bonus bonanza boom bomb benefit bowling alley.
Whacked out meatball with zipper juice. It's a big pink stick with a lot of cream kind of juking out the top. And you can wash it all down with a cup of Jew coffee.
Derisive and derisory, yes, but Agsby was not without approbators.
He has thrust aside the curtain and admitted politics is just spewing jism in public. But, you know, do we listen? No, we just weep like teased vaginas.
Midday, and a beleaguered Agsby makes a break for it and is clearly seen in the grip of an aggressive seizure.
For Agsby's mainly female family man supporters, the time had clearly come to wake up and smell some unpleasantly milky tea.
So why would Agsby blow it on a public debasement, albeit a pleasurable one?
The moment he turned, I knew it's the way he always does it. It's the hunch of the shoulder, and then I knew he was going to get his dick out. He was always this way, and it's a wonder to me that it hasn't happened before now. One time he jerked off in my dog's face, and she was very, very upset.
But in a sensational announcement yesterday, Agsby claimed he'd not been pounding his parson.
I have for many years suffered secretly from the painful effects of Prestodidwix congena, a rare blood disorder which causes sudden involuntary erective pressure.
The senator explained he'd sneezed into his hand just before speaking and then suffered a massive attack of congena.
I tried repeatedly to return the organ with my fist, with the effect that the nasal mucus flew across the room and hit a few people, as you saw. I'm sorry.
With the sound of that hullabaloo still ringing in its ears, I have a question. Would there really have been all this fuss if Agsby had been a woman? I somehow doubt it, don't you?
Austin Tasseltine. Now, part your belief curtains for a final word on the matter from Peter Tatchell. So what's next?
So what's next?
Yeah, what do you reckon? I mean, what's going to be the next issue, and will it be for the next election?
I think undoubtedly Outrage will make an intervention at the time of the next general election.
Are you going to...
I think we'll be thinking about doing what we can to put pressure on various people in authority.
Yeah, but man, you know, I mean, if that was on the agenda, I mean, the frog wouldn't come out of the box, would he?
The frog certainly would come out of the box.
Well,
if 2 cabinet ministers came out,
Howard,
that would certainly make a very, very big impact.
But you say Labour would then, 2 of them would come out as well, probably, wouldn't they?
Well,
they're following suit like, you know, kids playing Snap.
Well, I think, you know, the problem is everybody's too scared to do it by themselves. You get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 MPs all coming out at once. None of them will be picked on individually. They'll all be able to have the mutual support and solidarity, hopefully, of their colleagues.
You get Jack Straw, Robin Cook, Michael Howard. I mean, would there be an argument for them coming out if they weren't gay at all?
Well, that might be an interesting proposition.
It's a bloody convincing argument. Why not send a tape of this programme, say, come on, mate, you're obviously... You're a big...
Yes.
So where does that leave us? Well, let's ask our audience. And how many of you have changed your minds? And why was that? Thanks. Now, throughout tonight's programme, we've also had a naked, asexual man up a stick watching some pornography. Have you reached any conclusions? Well, I hope that's been of some help. We'll just leave you with a couple of items of whore news. There's a large build-up of whores in a digger on the A47 tonight. And don't forget that in Leicester, Joanna Lumley, Anita Roddick and Helena Bonham Carter are all whoring themselves all night to raise a little money to buy some coloured bricks for some children. Helena's speciality there is a golden shower. And if you're anywhere near Yarmouth, watch out for that giant whore. It's still on the loose, terrifying everybody, including the police. That's it. Good night.